Hello everyone and welcome to Clickheads. I'm Eddie the Chump and today we're going to be talking about Project A and some killer information that has been leaked in the last few days. Jumping straight into the info, this screenshot has been circulating the Project A/Valorant Twitter and Discord space very recently. Originally it was much more cropped and nobody knew if it was official, but now an uncropped version has appeared and for almost certain this looks to be a screenshot of the game's hero selection screen. There's a ton of information we can garner from this, so let's break it all down. Firstly, we have a picture of the character Sage. Now, her design is awesome, and Frito has already said that's my main, but the first thing I want to draw your attention to is the description of her kit on the right-hand side. This feels very Overwatch-esque, and I want to break down her kit, as we've actually seen most of it in action in the very brief reveal footage that we keep returning to. Sage has 4 key abilities, the first of which is called Barrier Orb, and we can see her use this in the clip where she goes on to res a teammate here. The description says that you use the fire command to place a wall and that alt fire rotates the wall targeter, very much like how Mei uses her wall in Overwatch. Just like that game, you can see in the clip that the wall can take damage and be destroyed. I imagine that it also has a fixed duration irrespective of incoming damage as well. Her second ability is called Slow Orb, and the description says press fire to throw a slow AoE that detonates on impact that creates a lingering field that slows and grounds players caught inside of it. Now this might be the freeze ability that some of the alpha testers have spoken about, and an ability that I myself might not be a huge fan of. The key detail for me is the grounding part. This means players that are in the air, like the knife throwing ultimate that we've seen from another character, might be dragged down to the floor, or that if you're in this AoE, you won't be able to jump. This ability slows targets down and limits verticality. This could be very powerful indeed. As an aside, we don't know how much jumping or verticality will be a factor in this game, but there is at least an ability designed to specifically counter it, so I'm guessing maybe verticality is a bit more of a big factor in the game than the teaser footage has shown. Next on the list is a healing orb, which to me is the first real sign of support-based abilities in Project A. The description reads, equip a healing orb, use fire on a wounded teammate to activate a healing over time on them, or use alternate fire to use the healing orb on Sage herself. Now there's no further description, so that leads me to think that the healing numbers are the same for whoever the orb is on, whether it be a teammate or yourself. But it wouldn't surprise me if it was in fact more potent on teammates than Sage herself. Perhaps not. It is single target, unlike say Moira's orb from Overwatch, which can heal multiple people from a fixed pool, but time will tell. In Counter-Strike's competitive mode, there aren't any healing items, and because of the nature of the game, where a single headshot can lead to death, healing could be seen as a bit redundant. From the footage we have, and from the feedback of the players who have helped test it, most of the weapons in Project A look to follow the same kind of precision hit insta-kill model. If I had to guess, this healing orb could be used to negate molly damage or explosive utility post-plant in a bomb site, or thinking a little deeper, it could be used on an entry fragger as they walk through some sort of damaging utility as they take a site. As it is healing over time, you could use it on your first man in, as it's very likely they'd reach the site with health depleted. That's quite cool actually, and obviously the same goes for the Sage player. If you're playing Sage and you know you have to pass through some utility that's gonna hurt you, whack this on and you'll be able to make it through in much better shape than you would have otherwise. I think it's important to reiterate here that as far as we know right now, all these abilities are bought in an economy system and not on cooldowns, so their application is very selective. Now let's talk about Sage's final ability, and that's Resurrection. We have seen in the gameplay Sage use her wall to protect herself and then res an ally. The description reads, use fire on a downed teammate to begin resurrecting them. After a brief channel, the ally will come back to life with full health. Now that's kind of key. The fact that there's a channel means that it can be interrupted, which is why you see the Sage player use a wall for protection. There's an element of risk here. Yes, you can res, but you might die doing it. Sage feels like a mix between Mercy and Mei from Overwatch to me, and there's one aspect I take away from the gameplay that I think might slip past viewers. Her kit has 4 abilities, but that doesn't mean that she can have all 4 in her active kit at any one time. As you have to purchase them, maybe there's a limit on how many you can take irrespective of how much money you have. Now that's just speculation obviously. It is perfectly possible that on a full buy round you could have all 4 of your abilities at your disposal, but I'm going to make a prediction that this is not the case. Otherwise, on those full buy rounds, if every player in the server had 4 abilities at their disposal, it could reach the point of ability spam. If we take a look at these clips from this character, she uses a smoke, a dash, and her ultimate, so that's at least 3. Perhaps it's 2 abilities max, but you can always take your ult as well if you can afford it. We'll find out very soon, and obviously this will be subject to adjustment as this game is still in testing. Now moving on, there's way more to this screenshot than just Sage and her kit. Let's look below Sage at the hero selection bar. There are 8 characters present, with 1 being locked out. Previously, I had argued that with an upcoming beta, the hero selection we will get to play might be relatively small, with the possibility of Riot unlocking heroes over time. Now this screenshot looks to me to be from the alpha, so we still might get something different in the end anyway, but my assessment looks to be correct. I think I said 10 heroes, but 8 is close enough. Now on the left hand side of the screen, we do actually get some names for these heroes. This guy is called Brimstone, and as yet we haven't seen any of his kit in any of the footage, but this character who we have seen is called Viper. Now in the footage you can tell who's who by looking at the kill feed, and it's quite clear that Viper has some overlapping utility with Sage. Here Viper throws a green smoke, which when you think about her name could be a poison cloud, tick damaging players who walk through it or weakening them. The player does kill the enemy with 1 shotgun blast straight afterwards, and she also has wall-like utility which she uses to cover her push into the bomb site. This wall has gas clouds fringing at the bottom of it, and if I had to make another guess, this wall would also poison people walking through it, because if you notice, Sage's wall does not have that gas fringing. Now I want you to look at these 2 screenshots. Both the characters who walk through Viper's utility have this blue halo effect on their heads. I'm gonna say Viper's utility might not only poison people, but affect their vision as well, as both the opposing players don't react to her very sharply in the gameplay. It is teaser footage, a lot of this stuff is staged for the video, but I think that the blue halo could be a visual indicator of some sort of status effect on that player. If that's true, that is nasty, and thinking logically, Sage's heal orb and other abilities like it make a lot of sense if Viper's kit does in fact work like this. Now we don't know this character's name, but we do have a pretty good idea of what her kit is, as I've already shown in some examples. Let's just call her Dash for the moment. She has a smoke grenade, a very fast sideways dash, and the throwing knife ultimate. That's 3 out of 4. Your guess is as good as mine for the final one. But Dash, as I'm calling her, very clearly has an offense-minded kit, movement, lethality, and attacking utility, whereas Sage has a much more supportive class feel, healing, res, etc. Now visually we can see in the screenshot that some of the picked heroes have symbols under their picture. Viper and Brimstone have these upward facing arrows, and Sage and Hat Dude, which I hope is his official name, have this triangle thing. On the right hand side above Sage's name is a larger version of this symbol and the word Sentinel. Now this could refer to the class that Sage belongs to, Sentinels being a supportive category, or it could just be a codename for her specifically. What is fairly safe to assume is that the symbols are at least a reference to a hero's class or role within the game. Now having so much Overwatch experience makes me think that because there is overlap in the kits of 2 heroes from different categories in Sage and Viper, Project A is unlikely to limit how many heroes from a certain class you can run at any one time. You could go all Sentinel characters or all Vanguard, which is my guess for the offense class name. The hero's class doesn't matter as much as the clicking of the heads. I mean, I could be wrong, there will definitely be meta comps for various stages of a map. Perhaps Sentinels are great at holding sites, but Vanguard heroes specialize in taking them, etc. And as of yet, we don't know if we can swap heroes mid-game or not, so your hero selection might really count for something depending on your team's economy late game. Just because each hero will probably have the same number of abilities, that does not mean that they'll cost the same to buy within the economy system. Perhaps Viper's poison utility is stronger in power, but more expensive as an example. I just can't wait to find out, to be honest, and we don't have that long to go. Stratocaster, who is the global influencer lead for Riot Games, basically confirmed March 2nd as a big content drop in the community Discord. As an addendum to this, you might be wondering why the name Valorant has been attached to Project A recently. Well, that's because some very keen people on Reddit and Discord have done research into Riot's recent trademarking activity, and they have discovered that Riot have trademarked the name Valorant for all sorts of purposes very recently. These include software, comics, vinyl figurines, apparel, bags, and more. Riot are going to use this name for something, and a Twitter called @PlayValorant Valorant has just magically appeared. Nobody knows if it's the official account for Project A, as it hasn't tweeted anything yet, but it already has 11k followers just on the off chance. The image used as its header also has some potential hidden secrets in it, with Project A Online speculating it's a reference to the March 2nd date, which we now know is going to bring with it much more official news. This Project A hype is reaching fever pitch, and I know all of you watching are exactly like me and can't get enough of it. We'll be here to cover every important story in detail, and I just want to thank all of you who have subscribed in recent weeks. It really lets us know we're doing something right. Let me know how you feel about all of this in the comments section down below. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you like the content on this channel, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you get notified when we upload. Until next time!